The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, dedicated to creating access to financial well-being for local people, businesses, and communities. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar in Hatfield, offering personalized solar energy solutions and ongoing customer care, proudly serving communities throughout the Pioneer Valley. northeast-solar.com.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, it's berry season, and there's few places we get to see more varieties than at Norse Farms in Whately.
Plus, we'll get a look at theater mitosis that's just about to complete at Image Cinema in Williamstown.
But first, a look at our softer syllables.
And the gently codified way we speak them.
Hello.
Hey. Hi. Oh.
What happened?
Nothing. She sounds like she's in a big room.
Yeah.
It's not very big, but I'm in one of the study rooms at the Greenfield Public Library because my office is unbearable. So here I am, but I feel like I might as well be in a shower. I could start singing now. And
I hear there are going to be showers at our new library in Montague, so...
Is that true?
No, I just made that up.
Oh.
I mean, that would be kind of amazing for their public service.
Absolutely.
It would be kind of awesome if the library had showers.
I think so, too.
Even if moisture is terrible for books.
Libraries are awesome. I was truly surprised that Montague went the way it did and very, very happy.
I have no comment or thoughts on anything that's political in nature, as stipulated in my contract.
I was driving kids to Woolman Hill all last week, and we were counting the pro and anti-library signs.
Yeah, I am a huge fan of the anti-library AI song, though. As Khalees knows, I played it for everybody.
Oh, what is it?
Every time we play it, it gets endorsement that AI music should not get.
Right. Right. Actually, yes, spare me. I don't know it exists.
We also, Khalees and I, experienced a great moment at Solid Sound where they're in Jordan Klepper from The Daily Show's quiz show, where he tested members of Wilco and Natalie Merchant if they could differentiate between what was an AI-generated #1 Christian rock song, or was it a human-generated #1 Christian rock song?
I am proud to say I got all three of them right.
And the musicians on stage did not do well.
They did not.
Wow. Is this a thing that's happening in Christian rock?
Oh,
especially?
Yeah. And they're letting it chart.
Well, it's terrible. But what it reminds me of is that South Park episode where the kids form their Christian rock band, Jesus Plus One, and they make all of their songs by just basically using the lyrics from popular songs and replacing the word baby with Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Save me, Jesus, baby.
That's an easy way to do it. And lots of Christian rock. Emily Brewster and I come from the world of Christian rock. That's too long a story to get into.
I sure don't, which means I should not have been good at figuring out which ones were the fake ones.
You're just good at figuring out what's AI.
That's true.
Right.
Which brings us back to the Montague Library song. The only reason I like it is because it is so terrible. So I am not saying this is a good song that was created in a good way. I'm saying it is a terrible song that is very addictive and fun to make fun of. Also, the image that goes with it says Montague, Montaque.
Montague.
Library, Libraay.
Wow.
This is part of why I love it. It's just so bad.
Get real humans to make your art.
Yeah. And then make fun of the art that robots make.
Yep.
Emily Brewster, our resident wordster from Merriam Webster, Dictionary in Springfield, coming to us from the Greenfield Public Library, which also won a contentious library vote. What are we talking to you about on this, your final Word Nerd segment of the summer, as you are going to go on a summer hiatus from the Fabulous 413?
We're going to talk about the schwa.
Ooh.
Schwa, not Schwab.
Swing.
Yeah.
Right. And the fact is that we should talk about the schwa more often because it is the most common sound in the English language.
It's the most fun upside down vowel.
And which vowel is it upside down?
E.
It's the letter E. Do either of you have a schwa sound in your name? I don't think you do.
No.
No.
I do, but it's not the E in my name.
Right.
It's the I in my name. The schwa sound is
So
say the word banana.
Banana.
It's got 3 A's, right? If each A were long or said its name, as I used to say when I was a reading teacher, it would be benene.
Which I think is how it is in the Raffi song.
I like to eat apples and bananas.
That's good. It's so helpful for spelling to say it benene, but it is not benene. If you wanted to make it with all the A's short, you would say banana.
They played Woodstock, right?
Oh, no. Wow.
That's shanana.
But right, and nobody says banana.
Ba 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 banana.
But in the most common way that we hear the word banana said, it's got a schwa in the first syllable and a schwa in the second syllable. Ba-na-na. That sound is the schwa. Do you know what the conditions are that enable a schwa sound to properly appear in a word? It's really just one condition, and that is that the syllable has to be unstressed.
So it's an unemphasized syllable that makes schwas appear.
That's right. And really do so frequently in English. But the schwa cannot appear in the accented or emphasized syllable. If it does, it's strictly speaking not a schwa, it's just the sound. So in a word like but, it's just plain 'cause that syllable is, I was just thinking one T. All right, not the best example. Shut up, for example. In both of those, that's not the schwa.
It's just,
but in so many other words, it is. So like, the word about,
Right.
for example.
Khalees has a good example for this week in particular.
Yeah, it turns out the name of our nation begins with a schwa.
It does, and it ends in one.
It does.
America.
Yeah. When I was teaching reading, the schwa was just as far as learning to read, it's kind of a relief because you can just put that sound in there and it's very easy to just kind of slip it in. But if you want to know how to spell something and the word that you're trying to spell has a schwa in it, you can be in a really tough spot because the schwa sound can appear in the guise of any vowel letter, including Y.
So that's why it's an upside down E. It's upending the whole vowel system as we know it.
It's like it's my time
it
now.
also is more evidence that spelling is it's really so distinct from communication. As we've talked about before, for a long time, for hundreds of years, nobody cared how things were really spelled. Inconsistency was just part of the charm. But consistent spelling, it's its own animal, which is why, competitive spellers, they really should be considered elite because English changes the stress a lot in words, or the emphasis, as you said, Monty.
Yes.
So, really we say this word emphasis, but if we say emphasis, that second syllable is a schwa, emphasis. But as soon as we change it to emphasis, now really the first syllable is pretty much a schwa, emphasis. And the second syllable we know is an A because the sound is made by the letter A. And English actually has pairs of words that show this nicely. The word agility starts with a schwa, agility, but it's also related to the word agile, which starts with an A sound. So if you are trying to spell the word agility and you can recall that it is related to the word agile, it's a help toward knowing how to spell the word.
That reminds me of the way that I try to remember the difference between address and address. That you never call it the Gettysburg address. It sounds like a place you're going to in Gettysburg, which is at 407 Avenue.
It's soft because you talk to people softly.
Yeah, you address them.
Yes.
And that is address them. That would be a schwa too, right?
Yeah, in address. Yeah. I think of words like, the word local. The ul in local. That al ending is so common in English. A lot of our suffixes actually have the schwa sound, but with local, if you don't know what the vowel is in that final syllable ul, you can relate it to the word locality, and then you know that it's the A. And actually, all of our most common suffixes, almost all of them, really have the schwa sound. So tion, shun, that's the schwa sound. Wicked, the ed when it's pronounced, that's the schwa sound also.
Cynthia Revo is coming to play Tanglewood. Speaking of wicked, and she has a schwa. A Revo. Yeah, so that's a schwa.
Arrivo.
I mean, it is a little disappointing that the word schwa itself does not have a schwa in it. That would be nice. But then it would need to be multisyllabic because it would need to have an unstressed syllable.
It's like how phonetic should be spelled phonetically.
Yeah, that's a good point. But it's got a schwa also.
Yep.
Phonetic.
Phonetic.
Too.
The
Yeah.
schwa, one of the most popular expletives in music. Like James Brown loved the schwa.
Is that a true schwa? I would say no, because it's not unstressed. That there has got some real,
Right.
there's power behind that.
It's also not multisyllabic, so I guess it's not a schwa.
Fair enough.
Think about the simple, informal way to object to something like That is a 2-syllable word, and the first syllable is stressed and the second syllable is not, but the syllables have the identical sound. But the first one is not a schwa and the second one is.
Can you think of an example of a schwa with a Y?
How about Pythagoras?
Wow. Oh. Yeah, I love that.
Here's something else about the schwa. You don't even have to have a letter for it.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It exists between the letters.
Yes, it creates its own space.
Give us an example of that.
Khalees, you've got one?
No.
Rhythm. The Y is not a schwa, right? It's saying I. It's imitating the letter I, which is what I always taught my students that the Y as a vowel does internally. But yeah, that THM, it's a 2-syllable word. There's no doubt about it. We don't say rhythm, right? Like there is a second vowel, rhythm, 1, 2. And the thum syllable has a schwa vowel.
And no other actual traditional vowels. It's a hidden vowel in the middle of THM.
Yeah.
I love that.
Wild.
Rhythm is wild.
It's a dancer. It's a dancer.
There's an interesting point about the English language that I think is part of the reason why we have so many schwas, and that is that English is what is called a stress-timed language. So in everyday speech, there's actually a kind of regular interval between stressed syllables. So we tend to kind of rush over little function words, like I'm going to the library. So I'm going to the.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's paying attention to the. And even the I'm, right, is kind of swallowed. It's really on go and library. That's where the real information is in the sentence for the listener. That feature of English means that schwas are very useful. It's our really efficient way to run over parts of our language to get to the important stuff.
We knocked the E right upside down. We ran over it so fast.
We don't have time to properly pronounce it. We got places to be.
Yeah, like the library where Emily Brewster is now. Well, we're going to miss you for the summer. We hope you have a nice hiatus from the Fabulous 413 while amidst all of your other dictionary duties. Emily Brewster, our resident wordster from Merriam Webster. And we may, as we mentioned last week, have some substitute. I was checking to see if there was a schwa in there.
That's a schwa.
All right.
Substitute.
Word nerds in your stead for that time being. But you are welcome back at any time, our friend Emily Brewster.
Thank you so much, Monty and Khalees. I will miss you both.
But get some rest, eh?
About the berries is what are really coming up right now, and especially at North Farms at Whately, we will get a tour with the folks from CISA.
But first, Images Cinema is on the verge of reopening, having doubled their theaters with the recent construction, and we got to peruse the progress with one of the designers, Matt Brogan.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
Woo!
We are back at Images Cinema in Williamstown, where we most recently got a tour of the vision of Images, where we would see the expansion and remodification of this glorious gem of a theater right in a bustling college town. And we're here with our friend, cider maker, Matt Brogan. What the hell? Are you supposed to be back in the tasting room?
I mean, he's on this menu right behind us.
Berkshire Cider Project? What are you doing here?
Yeah, it's a good thing to support where they also sell your product, right? Yeah. That's a real kind of vertical integration we get going here. But yeah, long before I moved here to become a cider maker and we followed our kind of dream to start Berkshire Cider Project, I spent most of my career as an architect, specifically doing performing arts centers, theaters, cinemas, and when I heard Images was doing this project, I sort of raised my hand, said, how can I help? And I won't say I regret it. No, it's been a wonderful couple years now of planning, and it's been a longer process for the whole Images team planning what has been a complete renovation. It's just a complete reimagination that's going to bring us into the future. It's part of our Look Forward campaign, and ultimately now we're reopening next weekend.
This feels like the most Western Mass hyphenate where, like, I am an architect / cider major.
And new dad.
And new dad as well. Yeah, proud new
Congratulations to you and Cat Hand.
Thank you very much.
4-month-old.
You know, we need some extra help picking apples.
Another hand.
It's another hand.
Is that not a farming tradition of growing your own labor force straight from your own loins?
You're still showing movies here right now.
We are actually, so the main theater, we'll talk more about the renovation, but there will be 2 theaters now. The main theater reopened on Memorial Day weekend, and that went over great. We sold out most of those showings, and now we're into regularly scheduled new releases. We just finished up Disclosure Day, Backrooms is coming, and Sheep Detectives is coming after that. And then Theater 2, our smaller theater, which was the big part of this project, is reopening over the holiday, July 4th holiday.
All right, well, let's go take a look at what you have wrought in your architectural hat, although your hat actually says cider on it right now, Matt Brogan.
And also the irony of, like, opening up a space with backrooms. I'm just saying.
They're vacuuming the back rooms right now. Work's still being done.
Oh, look at how fancy this is!
It looks gorgeous in here. Oh my God, these seats look
The
wonderful,
first
blue,
thing-
comfy
yeah.
seats.
Yeah, the first thing everyone wants to notice in a theater is the comfy seats. They want to try it out. We're so happy to share that the seats are about 4 inches wider. They're actually at the proper height. Our old seats felt like you were melting into the floor. The rows are wider, and it's all around just more comfortable. What we also really like here, we weren't able to expand the building. That wasn't in our budget. We didn't build, the 7-story tower here. What we were able to do, though, is maintain the sense of the feel of a theater. We don't have Barca loungers here. We don't have the vibrating heated seats that you're starting to see, which I think when I go to some of those movies, I start to feel really disconnected from the sense of a community space. And when we have live events here and speakers, you really want to feel like you're in a theater. The main theater here is 70 seats, which is the right size for our audience with the number of screenings we show. That's down from about 120 seats, where frankly the first half or the first third and the rear third were never full anyway because it was a big long room.
Yeah.
So now all the seats are in the sweet spot. There's really not a bad seat in the house. One of the bigger upgrades for this room, and both theaters as well, we're now fully accessible. That was never the case here before. You had to enter through stairs, whether you're in a wheelchair or you just have trouble navigating stairs. That was really problematic for the audience, and it was also really problematic for our guests. So bringing someone up on the stage and showing them the room, was really difficult.
We're with Matt Brogan, who is the architect behind the renovation of Images Cinema in Williamstown, and lots of work still being done. It's going to open officially on 4th of July weekend. Also, I didn't know this, but you give your leftover popcorn to pigs.
I know,
We
I was
do.
gonna ask you about that.
Talk about full circle, right? So we go in the fall. We collect apples from Cricket Creek, our favorite local cheese farm here in Williamstown. Images, any leftover popcorn gets picked up a couple times a week and brought right to those pigs. So those pigs eat some of our leftovers apples. And
This is nuts.
if you're part
Where
of
do
the
we live?
CSA,
How can this be possible? I love community.
Here's the real shout out. If you really love it, Cricket Creek is the best July 4th hot dog. Maybe it's the popcorn.
The other thing I want to say is that in this little theater, there are at least 19, and then more. 20, 21, 21, like 27.
There's actually about 27 speakers in the room with a handful more behind the screen.
Wow.
It's pretty much one speaker for every 2 seats. And this is the really big deal for us. This is part of our Dolby Atmos system. We're basically the only theater between Boston and Albany with a proper Atmos setup. Now, Atmos is a little bit like when we went from, your standard screen to 4K or to IMAX, but for sound. So you're no longer just dealing with stereo sound or surround sound, but it's actually 3-dimensional sound.
You're dealing
it's
with
incredible.
spatial audio
Yes.
where you can actually hear what's in the room. I've had
You can
headphones.
do this in post on the radio, I'm sure, and have us spinning around.
We can't.
Well, no, actually, The Zoom does it.
My microphone
you
can
go.
do it.
There you go.
The radio listeners can't hear it.
When you first sit in here, it really blows you away because it's not only amazing the surround sound, but what it also does is it provides a lot more clarity to the movie because all of those extra noises are pulled out to the speakers of the room. So I find that I'm just able to hear the dialogue much better, where people are on screen is clear, and the music plays from the other places. But boy, is it fun when you also hear the, Mission Impossible helicopter go zooming around. Yes. It's pretty great. Disclosure Day, aliens coming around, no spoilers. It's incredible that we have this in such a small space in the Berkshires. There's nothing like it. And it's a real part of the future-proofing of our business plan, which is what's going to get people out of their house, off their couch, into these seats. What's unique about a small indie theater in Williamstown, Massachusetts for the next 20 years, next 30 years maybe. And we think this is it. On top of that, all the other technology was upgraded. We're full 4K here, new projectors, new accessibility features like closed captioning and hearing aid solutions. So all of that's just been fully upgraded, which is great.
Just going to throw out there that you should maybe for like a one-night event like you have for many other things, bring 32 sounds in. It's a
that's right, that's right.
About sound and how sound works.
Pretty amazing.
Just putting that into the universe.
Well, we take requests. You can write it at the concessions, which we love. But what's actually, that's a good kind of even segue. One of the big goals and the need for us to go from a single screen to now 2 screens is the fact that the movie industry is just changing, and we're not able to show as many movies per week as we used to. The studios are requiring you to keep more films on a clean screen, as they call it, and so we were just running up against our ability to do what Images as an indie movie theater did best, but also bring some of these newer releases. Now that, the North Adams cinema has closed and there's a lot of pressure on other cinemas, we're serving a much wider community, and so we just have to show a deeper depth of cinema. So having 2 screens is going to let us do that. We can move movies between, we can do film festival in one and main features in the other. It's just really exciting.
Well, let's leave the beautiful theater that you helped to architect.
It's hard, I can't show you the color-changing light technology on the radio, but what's really great, so the lighting systems have all been upgraded here as well, and they let us do a really smooth dimming that gets you excited about the movie, but every light bulb can actually be assigned a different color, which is just gonna be really fun for, I don't know, maybe the next time we show Barbie, or I think about, the October horror movies will be really great. Blood red soaks the walls, yeah.
All right, well, let's go back through where the work is still being done to get this place open for 4th of July weekend. That's Images Cinema.
We can go to the other theater if you want.
Okay.
Yeah. We've got our AV crew in here today from Boston Light and Sound doing the final install on the second screen. The goal here was to create 2 theaters, but not like a regular multiplex where they're just one A and B. We now have a 70-seat theater, and we're standing here in what is a 19-seat second theater, which is really great because it provides a completely different experience. You essentially are going to have 3 rows with 2 fixed rows of seats, and 1 row is going to be loose chairs and lounge chairs and coffee tables up front. Mm-hmm. It feels a little bit like your private screening room. It's going to be really great for rentals and birthday parties. And as you can see, the large room has this beautiful kind of Art Deco inspired wall paneling with brass details. And here we've got these pops of neon green, I think they call it pistachio dots, and it looks like you're in a 70s lounge or something, but with still a huge screen, a massive screen in here. Ethan, what do we think? This is a 17-foot screen?
13.7, I want to say. It is 5'8" tall.
And you have like 9 speakers in here, so basically...
more than that. This is a 7-1 system, so we've got a bunch of speakers behind the screens before, and then we've got speakers all around you and in the ceiling above you as well. It's a totally immersive experience as well in here. So there's no big theater, little theater. It's just where do you want to be?
How did you have to consider the smaller theater in terms of design as opposed to the larger theater?
That's actually a great question, and this project owes a lot of gratitude to the community board and past leadership going well back before I was ever around, with Steve Simons, our current board president, Kevin O'Rourke before him, Whit McKay and Ann McCallum before them, who really developed this vision of what we're going to need to do to survive. They started by thinking about what's the right size for the big theater, and they looked at lots of historical data, and it just became really clear that 70 seats was the right size. And then at the end of the day, we're left with only the footprint we have. So how many seats fit? Turns out it was about 19 to 20 seats. What's kind of cool is for the last couple years, that's the same number of seats for the lounge, where we've been kind of testing screenings and seeing how that works. So now we also know how to program for 19, 20 seats, something like that, and get a sense of what people want. If anyone came to those movies, we thank you. It was great. It really supported us while we were closed. Theater 2 is a much improved experience over the Cinema Lounge. And the Cinema Lounge
doesn't have a bar right there.
Yes. Well, the problem was the bar had to be closed during the movie. That was the worst part.
Now you can go get some Berkshire Cider Project cider that Matt also makes and bring it into the theater that he also made.
Yes, the check's in the mail. Thank you. It lets our lounge go back to just being this lounge. And when we're doing karaoke or events or talkbacks, we have a book event, and we're even just doing like movie chats after. It's really a nice place to come before or after the movie and let this be kind of the private room.
It's worth noting that while we were walking in here, we saw a poster on the wall saying that my friend John Sayles and all of his Williams College alum buddies are coming back to do a very special screening of Matewan on July 25th.
Yeah.
It's going to be a huge event, really exciting for Williamstown and the surrounding area. And that event will actually be held at the 62 Center. We've been able to kind of think beyond images in the future, too, and about who we partner with for some bigger events. We're also doing, along with the 62 Center, Summer of Sondheim. So we're showing all Sondheim movies again. I'm very excited about this.
I will drive up from Springfield. Sondheim is my guy.
There you
Love Sondheim,
go.
too.
Williams connection. Right, we've got it all. We got all the love here. There's one other very cool thing here in this room, and you can already hear it. You guys are used to this because you live in recording studios, right? This room is like dead silent.
Yes.
I was going to compliment your sound dampening. The pistachio green and the felt on your walls is a part of that.
It is. So all of this material on the walls is for acoustic treatment inside, which a lot of cinemas will do. We love this stuff because it's a really cool product that not only has a great design to it, but it's also like 70% post-consumer water bottles, fully recyclable after the fact. Up above, we have these giant 6-inch boxes, which are bass traps. They're meant to control the bass noise. But what's even cooler is the challenge of putting two theaters in the space of one is separating the sound.
Oh, yeah.
This is a very sophisticated room that we call box-in-box construction. So they frame out the new theater, and then they actually build floor, walls, and ceilings, a second layer on the inside that is all suspended on rubber pads, hung off the walls with resilient channels, and the ceilings hung from heavy-duty springs. So you're actually kind of in a box that's floating about and able to move freely. And
I'm trying to rock the box.
it's a little, acoustics, radio, TV, concert halls. It's a little magic as much as it is science. But the first time they started blasting the movies in there, Dan Hudson and I, our executive director, were in here rather than watching the movie with our ears against the wall, seeing could we hear anything. And it's remarkably effective.
Good.
It's important. You want to see, especially an art house movie, you might see a nice quiet section. You're in tears. You don't want to hear the.
You don't want to be taken out of the moment by Godzilla in the room next door when your favorite British character is about to die.
These are the things we get into. In the main theater, we originally had designed, our consultants had designed sort of straight rows, as you would imagine, a very efficient way to do it. We ended up coming back in, redesigning them as curved rows. There's a lot of science to, as people in your peripherals start to kind of come in and they're laughing or they're crying, it encourages you to emote more. The bigger theaters are moving away from this. They're Barca loungers and independent little booths you seem to sit in and you don't even notice you're next to a person. We want you to know you're sitting next to another human being. We want you to laugh with them, cry with them, tell them to shut up because they're laughing at the wrong parts or whatever it is. But you want to feel like you're part of a group seeing something together. And we think a lot about that in the design. We want it to feel like a second home. That way you leave yours and come to the movies. Images has been on this site for now 110 years. We were one of the earliest movie theaters in the country. We were one of the longest continuously operating single screens. We're now one of the longest operating multi-screens. But there's a long history here, and we found a lot of that behind the walls.
Wow.
For better or for worse. I don't need to enumerate what was found.
Tell us one of the better things that you found.
Well, actually, we did
As long
find...
as none of them are actual human remains, then it's all good.
No, we did threaten to put some voodoo dolls maybe in there as a way of, depending who was problematic on this job. But we found a lot of old tin ceiling. We found some old brickwork that we were able to repair. It's an old building with a residence on second floor with a pizzeria next to us with an operating bar and concessions area. Really tricky job to fully rebuild. And so now every wall, every surface you see here is brand new. That includes a new bathroom, a brand new bathroom, everybody's favorite part of the theater. So we have a great new bathroom that actually picks up on some of the historic tile. We have this great new lobby draped in and tells you how creative architects can be. The color is called Theater Red. And upstairs, there's finally some more space for the staff. It's just nothing like it. And to have this in this community is such a gift.
So Matt Brogan, who is here as architect, not as cider maker, for the renovation of Images Cinema in Williamstown. The grand reopening is happening 4th of July weekend, right?
Yeah, we're going to have a ribbon cutting on July 3rd, right outside, and that actually kind of kicks off the whole holiday weekend festivities in Williamstown, down at the Williamstown Historical Museum. They have lots of events, and then later the night, there's a big concert. The next day, after the parade, we're going to have kind of an open house with like popcorn and have screening on, so you can come hear these systems and watch a cartoon or two. And then we're showing a heck of a lot of movies. And the great thing about Images, it's still your local non-for-profit community theater. Ticket prices are reasonable. If you're a member, they're even more reasonable. And memberships are a really great way to just kind of support and be part of other community events. So I just think there's no better place to see a movie, not just in Berkshire County, but really in the area. I might be a little biased because they sell my cider, but it's pretty great.
And because you designed the renovation.
It's pretty great.
And now we check out the many varieties of berries and berry plants being grown by the folks in immensely large greenhouses at Norse Farms.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM. Time for another Local Hero Spotlight with Claire Morneau from CISA, the Local Hero folks, and one of the biggest Local Hero farms, I think maybe if not the biggest in the area. We're at Norse Farms in Whately. Despite what Google says as to where Norse Farms lives, it also doesn't just live here. It's kind of all over the place. One of those farms that has lots of different places, including in other states at this point. What's your name?
John Place.
And what do you do here?
I'm the CEO here at Norse Farms.
Rachel Manette, and I'm our Chief Administrative Officer and General Counsel.
Nice.
This was my first job when I was 14 and a half, so I...
You were a lawyer when you were 14 and a half? That's crazy.
I am
that
also...
like the Doogie Howser of lawyers.
I was going to say, it sounds like a sitcom.
I'm also a former strawberry princess when we used to have a pick your own and our roadside stand.
Do I want to know what a strawberry princess is?
You sell the berries and you keep people in line picking well.
Do you have to dress like a princess?
Sometimes.
That's what I want to do. So Norse Farms is big. How big?
Well, we've got about 1,000 acres here in Western Mass, and then we operate in North Carolina and in Washington State.
How long ago did that happen, the expansion into those two other states?
Well, Norse started here in 1932 in Massachusetts, so we're 90 couple years old here, and then we moved into Washington State about 35 years ago and into North Carolina in 2023.
Wow, so that's very recent.
Why the move for the different states? Is there just stuff that you could grow better there?
Excellent growing climates in Washington State for the plants that we grow there, which are raspberries and asparagus. And in North Carolina, we're up in the hills near Asheville, so we've got high elevation and excellent growing climate for the strawberries we grow there.
What, are you just so mad that Hadley's right over there that you can't grow asparagus here in the valley? What's the problem?
We provide a lot of asparagus plants to Hadley.
Oh, that's how they get you.
Yeah, and that's a lot. So, I mean, you still, as the former berry princess, is that a berry stand that's selling strawberries right now?
Yes,
you're going to taste right now
today. It is one of the daughters of Norse Farms. Oh. So it's mostly staffed by daughters of our employees here. So,
and Norse is a family, a farm family that started this legacy farm 90-something years ago, right?
Yes, you're asking about the modern Norses, but I heard that the family is descended from somebody who was involved in the Salem witch trial.
I also read that in the Daily Hampshire Gazette.
That is a true story, and that
it's not Norse mythology?
Oh, good one.
Well done.
Thank you.
And that is why if you ever meet Tim Nurse, he pronounces his name without the O, because his family moved to Westboro to flee after all of the Salem witch trials went down. So they're direct descendants of Rebecca Nurse. They added an O to their name, and
they'll never find us now.
But they still pronounce it Nurse.
Talk about how you came up in the ranks. We know that Rachel was a berry princess. How did you come up, John Place?
Call me a princess, see what happens. No. I was actually born and raised in Philadelphia. I'm not a native here to Western Mass, and I started farming right out of college, so I've been in agriculture as a career for, let's call it 25 plus years. And an opportunity came in 2019 to come up and look at this operation and see if I could lend a hand, and so the opportunity looked pretty good, so we moved the family up here and have been pretty happy here since.
What were you farming before you came to Western Mass? Where were you farming?
We had a dairy farm in Pennsylvania. Also farmed row crops and beef cattle. So I did everything but berries and propagation. So
He was a perfect fit.
Yeah.
You want an outsider perspective. I'm so done with this. I'm never going back.
My guess is it was a small pool of candidates.
It was his former history as a rodeo cowboy that.
What? Yeah.
Princess and a
sold us.
cowboy.
A princess and a cowboy. I love it.
Americana.
Yeehaw. So there's this stand right there. If I'm driving down past Norse Farms, I can pull over and get some berries. But we're standing in front of a huge office space, and then across the street is what looks almost like a NASA facility / greenhouse, but not the kind of typical greenhouse that you're used to seeing.
Yeah, and there's several of them on River Road going down.
And I'm pretty sure when you're driving on 5 and 10 and you see some crazy, spooky, like pinkish lights, that's you too, is that right?
Some of our greenhouses are lit, yes.
So this is where the government is keeping the aliens. I've been reading all about this all over the place. Disclosure Day comes out.
Berries.
They're here in 5 and 10 eating the berries under those weird
We
lights.
start them in our lab, which is right over here.
There is really a lab over there.
There's really a lab.
Talk about the whole scale of the operation and what goes from what to what to what.
So Norse is a plant propagator. So our business actually is growing plants for sale to growers, home gardeners, wholesalers. The fruit that you mentioned at the tent with the berry princesses is a pretty small piece of our business, but it's an important one because it's where we grow our plants out to fruiting so we can test different varieties, see what works in our climate, see what doesn't, see what tastes good, see what doesn't. And then those varieties we move forward into the greater system. And I think a good point to make in berries is there are a lot of different berries, more so than apples, but the regular American consumer doesn't realize that berries have a lot of different varieties. So we propagate excess of 120 different varieties of berries here.
Wow.
All within strawberry, blackberry, and raspberry.
Just those 3 berries, 120 different varieties.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, wow.
So our business is finding genetics globally, importing them, putting them through our tissue culture lab, which is where we create our clean plants to start, and then propagating them outside.
Claire Morneau from CISA.
So you are selling to farmers and home-scale growers all around the country, but I think a lot of farmers here are buying their plants from you all, right? So despite the national footprint, you really have a role in the local food system in that way.
Yeah, I would say that we're providing plants to most of the local farmers in this area, all through the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic states, the Midwest, and Eastern Canada.
When you're testing for climate, you're testing for like continental United States. Like, what are you testing for? Are you mostly testing for like things that work well in New England? Because like we have, 6 growing zones in the U.S.
Obviously, we can't test for all climates here for fruit, so we're limited in our data set. But in general, we're testing out different growing systems and methodologies so we can help growers when they have questions. With regard to the propagation and why we're in different states, yes, we've identified where there's better climates for growing the plant type. Eastern Washington, where we are, is nothing like Western Massachusetts. There is no humidity there, and so it creates a pretty great growing climate without the use of heavy fungicides, for example. So we're able to grow a really good plant there, dig it and ship it back east where it performs pretty well here.
We're at Norse Farms with John Place and Rachel Manette, who are walking us through this huge, large-scale operation amidst all the smaller farms of the valley in our local hero spotlight with Claire Morneau from CISA. You've talked about the labs and creating different hybrids and things like that is a huge part of it. There's a lab right next to us where we are right there. And plugs is something I saw when I was going through your website that seems like one of the innovations when it's coming to things like strawberries. So talk about plugs, not the kind that I need for my hair, or I should have gotten a long time ago. How that's an innovation, especially when you're sending stuff out all over the country.
Strawberry plants can come in a lot of different formats. Our traditional strawberry plant would be a bare root plant that we dig in the soil, or plant in the soil, dig it and ship to growers. And I would say the majority of growers in the Northeast states are still planting bare root plants. Solid producer. We also produce plugs. Plugs would be specialty plants for when you're growing on plastic. So growers that have decided to grow on raised beds with plastic, it's much easier to plant a plug through that plastic than it is a bare root plant. So that's a plant we grow for that market. A bigger plug would be what we call a tray plant, and that's the plants that we're growing for greenhouse production or high tunnel production. And we have examples of that here as well, and that's a fairly fast growing aspect of our business as growers innovate and try to come up with different ways to produce more with less ground ground, less labor and the less water, and substrate production of fruit is following the same road that tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers started to do, a couple decades ago at this point.
Because you're growing a lot of this stuff in this greenhouses without soil, is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
We're using soilless media, so coconut coir, peat, perlite, wood fibers, and we're generally experimenting almost every year with different blends to see how we can find the best mix for the plant types that we're growing.
So when you're growing in like a substrate made out of coconut or whatever, a lot of times, Hadley asparagus right over the river, it's ostensibly what's in the soil that makes it so rich and delicious. How do you create the right balance of nutrients when you're not using traditional soil?
Great question. The terroir.
Terroir! But this is science terroir.
Yeah. So that comes down to the technical aptitude of the growers that are growing, because you do have to work with macro and micronutrients in a much more intimate way to get the flavor that you want out of your plant. When it's in the soil, it has all the good stuff for that local area, and the plants develop flavor known for that area. But when you start to take a plant out of the soil, put it in a greenhouse, you have to develop what that flavor profile is going to be for your customer.
What varieties are you selling at the stand?
I believe today we're picking Albion, which is a classic American strawberry, let's call it that. Deep red, big, great flavor. We also have a raspberry called Rafiki.
Yes, from the Lion King.
Correct.
It doesn't matter. It's in the past.
I hope the variety has a long life just because it's got a great name. And I believe we might have some blackberries starting to emerge here at the tent, if not today.
They're so tasty.
Black raspberries and blackberries are different. A lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, my kids are learning that. One's a lot sweeter than the other and a lot smaller.
And one of them looks like a raspberry, but a different color than red, and one of them looks a little longer.
Yes.
Yeah. What are the difference in the taste of the different types of berries over there? Are you, as the brain trust of Norse Farms, able to differentiate? Like if I were to sommelier style blindfold you and put a strawberry in your mouth?
Tim's favorite induction in trial by fire with new hires would be to take them into the field and say, "What kind of berry is that?"
Tim Nurse, not
Yes.
Norse,
Yes.
who's hiding from the Salem witch trials.
Yes, exactly.
And it's part of the family here. That's
Yes.
fun. That's a fun way to initiate somebody. But you did that at age 14?
Yeah, 14 and a half. Keeping it legal.
Yeah. And now you're only 18, so you're still pretty young here in the company as the general counsel here at Norse Farm.
But are you tasting in the lab or elsewhere for certain traits that you want to bring out, and how do you concentrate those traits in new varieties that you want to maintain?
We grow almost every variety that we offer in a trial field here. And so throughout the spring season, when we're picking strawberries, the entire team in the office gets to taste every different type of variety that we have growing. So every year we get a bit of a taste panel internally. For finding new varieties, it's really about visiting other growers, countries, and tasting fruit, see if it would fit the American taste profile, which is vastly different than the European taste profile, which is where a lot of genetics come from, and bring it over here, throw it through the lab, get it into the process. But really, to bring a fruit to maybe commercialization is a 4-year process, and you may get it to the end and say, it's not going to go. We're always developing new genetics. We've got dozens of varieties that are either currently in a quarantine for an import permit, or they're in the first stages of developing the first plants. So we have to keep the pipeline fresh because taste buds change.
I think hippies hear the words GMO and hear all this genetically modified stuff and they get a little bit nervous. I think what a lot of people maybe don't know is that any strawberry that you've eaten this year is not what would be considered a native strawberry. It's already been hybridized to a point that is recognizable as the strawberry that you look at and see. So when
you only have broccoli because of genetic modification.
Right. How are you doing the genetic modification? I think some people are thinking about gene splicing and CRISPR and all that sort of stuff.
It's important to note that hybridization and genetic modification are two totally different things. So strawberries are naturally bred. There are multiple parents that go into making a strawberry. It's still pollen and flowers. The tricky part with strawberries is there are 8 sets of chromosomes in a typical strawberry. So you do not produce true seed in a strawberry berry. If you were to take a seed off of your strawberry plant and plant it, you would have no idea what you were going to get from it, which is what our business comes in, because we do vegetative propagation. So it's all cuttings that produce the next round of plants. There are some technologies that are coming into the market in every food system on gene editing, where they're essentially turning off or turning on certain genes that are already in the genome. But from what I understand, especially in berries, today there's no such thing as a genetically modified berry. It's not on the market. The new format of gene editing and genetic modification, in my definition, would be inserting DNA that doesn't belong in the plant. What I see coming in the future is where they're looking into the plant and actually turning off or on certain genes that are in that plant to make it fruit faster or have better resistance to certain diseases. I think that's going to be part of the future for sure, but today that's not part of berries.
I was reading about how the sort of modern flavor and size of strawberries came from the European forest berries that people were eating in like the 1800s, and then a big, less flavorful berry from the Americas, and that there was a French botanist, or I don't know exactly, but somebody who kind of crossbred those in the 1800s, and that is where modern strawberries are descended from. So it's not GMOs in sort of the modern terminology, but so much of our food is from that type of crossing of different varieties and different types of plants.
Absolutely. The breeders that we work with will look at tens of thousands of different seedlings a year for traits that they like, and then select 2 and pollinate them and see what comes out of it. So it's still today a very labor-intensive, plant-intensive process, very similar to how it would have been done in the 1800s. Actually, not a lot of progress there. What we are seeing is, with the advent of AI in agriculture, AI is not crossing the plants, but it is giving data feedback to the breeder to say, look at these 2 varieties, because of the traits you're looking for, that might be an optimum cross. So we're starting to see more of a data-driven aspect of breeding that instead of just anecdotal, put 2 together and see what happens. So that, I think that's definitely speeding up how quickly a variety can come to market. The gene editing is a whole nother level that we're not there yet. It's going to be here. I don't think it's something that we can look at and say, not our problem. It's definitely coming. And for the most part, I think it's going to have a lot of good things to offer, but there's definitely the stigma of GMOs that we need to, as a society, kind of come to terms with on what we accept and what we don't.
Before we spend the whole time here, I was told this cart is for us.
It is.
Oh yeah, are we going on a trip?
This is our hot rod.
Let's go in the hot rod.
We're going to spend this entire interview in this parking lot.
Let's go see some stuff.
Yes.
Yep.
Who's driving?
I'm driving.
You can drive if you want.
Nope. Well, I already been arrested once for stealing a golf cart, so I don't need that again. All right, so we're driving around North's Farms. There's all sorts of buildings on this campus.
And there are black raspberries, confirmed.
Black raspberries at the farm stand.
We should have blueberries here by the weekend.
Yeah, 4th of July weekend is always, to me, the kickoff to blueberry season, which I really love.
So I thought we'd start here in our new greenhouse that we just built.
It's gigantic. It doesn't look like a greenhouse at all.
This is a pretty large greenhouse for this area for sure. We've got about 2.5 acres under glass here. Whoa. But I can fit 6 of these in my greenhouse in North Carolina.
Wow.
Whoa. And in reality, that's still relatively small for the greenhouse industry. We have customers that are growing from 30 to 100 acres in one location under glass.
Sometimes you hear scale and your mind just like goes blank.
I know, right? Yeah, so this feels like an airport hangar as much as a greenhouse. It's pristine.
And we just had to sanitize our shoes.
Yep. Oh, wow. But then you can see as you go through this first room, the giant glass room on the other side. This feels like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory of strawberries. But I want it now.
I'm sorry, I'm not singing a song.
Yeah. You're not an Oompa Loompa? Violet Beauregard turns violet because she eats that blueberry.
Violet, you're turning violet, Violet!
This is nuts. So now we're overlooking this probably the biggest greenhouse I've ever been in. And so what are we seeing here?
Right here we are growing black raspberry plants, blackberry plants. This is a several month-long process where we're taking plant material out from the tissue culture lab and growing it out to a fully developed plant before we ship to the growers. Different parts of the season we'll have different plants in this greenhouse. We'll start doing raspberry plants in a couple of months and strawberry plants at about the same time. So we have different cycles that go through here during the year.
Then, so 12 months of the year something's happening in here?
Yeah, there are plants in here 12 months of the year.
I want to ask about climate change and how that is either impacting the operation here or the types of plants or adaptations that growers need.
The next stop we're going to go to is where our fruiting tunnels are, and I think that's the technology that's starting to be adapted more rapidly. It's a low-tech solution to cover plants so they don't get rained on, and I think that, especially here on the East Coast, we get these deluge rains through the summer that can take an entire crop out in one rain, and so we're starting to see a lot of growers, put tunnels over their crop, and the second part would be take it out of the soil, and they're putting it into some sort of a soilless media growing system, just to adapt to what climate change has started to produce here in the last several years. We get hot, wet summers.
Yeah, trying to control the things we can. And this is when I reached out to Claire. This is why I thought what we're doing here is cool, because as much as we learn from our growers across the country who are teaching us what varieties they want, we're able to grow the way that they're growing and see the value in the flavor. You know, I used to be a berry snob, and when you would have it rain, the berries wouldn't taste as sweet for 2 to 3 days after, and so I would never eat them for 2 to 3 days after. Well, we're controlling the rain here, so they always taste sun-ripened and juicy, so it's a big difference.
My understanding about covering crops, so it obviously protects them against rain and the impact that has on berries, which are so delicate, but it can also protect them from certain like airborne diseases and, you know, plant diseases and fungal issues. Is that something that you're hearing about from growers, or that's been an issue here?
I think in general, when you cover plants, you get more control. And so if you're keeping water off the plant, that is what helps control the fungal problems. The different fungal spores are in the air, whether we have a covering over it or not. It's if the plant gets wet and stays wet that creates the problems. And that's how we're controlling disease.
Can you talk about maintaining clean spaces in here? Because we've walked through 2 sanitation spots, and I noticed a flyer about spotted lanternfly early at the entryway. So, like, as you're bringing plants in and having to keep them in quarantine, I imagine that it's pretty difficult. Well, not difficult, but like really important to try and maintain some sort of regularity in that aspect that people might not expect for like standard greenhouses.
Our reputation is built on delivering clean plants. Period, end of sentence. And so we take cleanliness very seriously. When you're bringing varieties in through quarantine, we have to keep a log of where that variety is during the quarantine period. It's always within a screen house. It's always contained. Once we leave the quarantine, and this is not quarantine where we're standing now, this is our production facility, it's our job to make sure that we're not moving potential problems from one area of the farm to the next. So, for example, we started here. This is the cleanest facility on the property, with the exception of the actual tissue culture lab. We will move further down the cycle of plant growing outdoors from here, and I will not walk back into this facility today because I'll have been outside. So
what John's trying to say is that the tour only gets dirtier from here.
Yes. Well, let's go continue the dirty tour. There's this cool red rope that you pull, and this door opens up at lightning speed, and then you pull it again, and it comes down. It's really cool. Here on our tour of Norse Farms with CEO John Place and lifetime Norse farmer and former Strawberry Princess and General Counsel, Rachel Manette.
The metal screens that we're walking past, what are these used for?
Those are the tables that you saw in the greenhouse.
Oh, really?
So as a crop comes out and finishes in the greenhouse, the crew will pack the plants, and then we've got this essentially arcade game crane that will grab the table, move it to be sanitized, and then stack it in the line here to be ready for the next crop to go in.
This is super high tech.
And yeah, super automated. This isn't people just sliding trays across a bench in a greenhouse.
That's right. When we built this facility, we were really scouring the horticulture world for off-the-shelf automation technology we could apply to reduce labor costs, increase plant consistency. That's a big one. We do a lot of machine grading now, where our robots are learning from us what a good plant is and what a bad plant is, and so we consistently can pack the same quality plant time and time again.
Are those robots using AI to learn, or how do they learn?
They are using AI to learn.
And is it on a big scale thing that says good egg and bad egg?
Again, back to Willy Wonka.
She was a bad egg.
Essentially, yes, it's an in or out grade at this point because we're only a year into using these machines, and we get tighter and tighter with that grade each crop. But there'll be a point where we can add multiple grades. So this is where the crop comes out. to be harvested. At this point, we're taking cuttings to make additional plants. The tables will come back here, and you can see the crane that pick up the table, move it to be sanitized, and stack it on the line.
That is crazy. And the scale of this may not be coming across on the radio, but maybe you can hear even the echo in what we're talking about. This is a giant warehouse, and the scale of the crane and the scale of those slats and all that stuff is huge.
This greenhouse is bigger than my neighborhood.
And this is phase one. We actually can build 2 more sections onto this greenhouse to have a total of 7.5 acres here.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea how many farms you are selling your products to? Because that's where they're all going out all over the country and here locally.
Yeah, we're selling to more than 2,500 farms. And we are commercially shipping U.S., Canada, and Mexico.
All to farms, or do you do direct-to-consumer plants too?
We do not do direct-to-consumer plants any longer. That was part of our business model in the past, but now we partner with wholesalers to do that work for us. Yeah. When we were in that line of business, we were shipping to well over 25,000 home gardeners.
Wow. More at Norris Farms as we hitch a ride in their extra fancy cart and check out their greenhouses and their plugs and taste some strawberries.
Plus, we'll get to learn the favorite berries of CEO John Place and Chief Administrative Officer and former Strawberry Princess Rachel Monette.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Eastworks, 4 floors of makers, artists, and entrepreneurs located in the Mill District in East Hampton, where community happens. Learn more at eastworks.com.
All right. Are we going somewhere else on the tour?
Let's go look at some fruit.
Let's go look at some fruit.
I also love that the boxes just say live plants.
Or it says live plants, depending on what you think.
Live plants is the encouragement. Live plants is the actuality.
Get out there, little plant.
You can do it.
Back outside.
I also love that for this giant building, the maximum occupancy is 50.
Yeah, and I mean, that it's huge, and I saw, apart from you two, 3 employees in there. Maybe there were more hiding, but it's not like there's 100...
Hiding is not, they're working,
100,
not hiding.
There's not like 1,000 Oompa Loompas anywhere. So the automation is really key to that, which, like every technology, is a blessing and a curse. You know, maybe there was a time where Norris Farms had more employees, and now they have more machines, but...
Well, the reality is we have more employees than we've ever had. And when we built these buildings, our intent was, let's make sure that we maintain our current crew, but be able to leverage them for more propagation. So the same crew that was running 2 acres 2 years ago is now running 4 and can probably take on the next 5 as we build in additional automation. So it was a matter of developing employees and keeping them long term rather than reducing headcount.
And are your employees year-round? So many farms are seasonal labor and rely on migrant populations. Tell us about a little bit of the makeup of the folks that you're working with and employing here.
The majority of our employees are full-time year-round, with benefits, vacation time, and everything that goes with that type of employment. And our business model allows for that because we have 12 months of work, and it's not a seasonal operation. I just stopped here at our rainwater harvesting pond because I thought that'd be important to point out. Every drop of water that falls on the building that you were in is harvested. This is a 5.5 million gallon pond.
Wow.
And this is what we use to irrigate our crops.
So it's all self-sustaining in that way?
Yes, sir.
Can we go swimming in there?
Those are fake gators in there to keep the geese away?
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
The Massachusetts gators.
That's so funny. The geese believe it?
The geese are not, they're mostly
They're
just
from Canada.
angry.
They think they're in the South.
They're not the brightest.
I know. I heard them perform at the Green River Festival. They did seem a little stupid.
Wow.
I like their music, though.
They just need to enunciate. Why are you throwing them under such a large bus?
I hit the geese like Fabio with his face on a roller coaster. You ever see that film?
Yes.
It's legendary.
I can't believe it's not bothered.
Oddly satisfying.
Yes.
How many people do work here?
We maintain about 200 full-time employees.
That is huge.
Yeah.
And we do use the H-2A program at our North Carolina facility, which is a visa program that allows us to bring up 100 people for a very short amount of time in the June to September period. So that's the portion of the business where we do use seasonal labor.
Have you run into problems with the current political climate when it comes to either workforce in the other facility and or problems with the farm bill that it's continually being bandied about and extended, but not a ton of clarity on what's going forward? General Counsel, she's in the back.
We live in a world of uncertainty.
Hold on, you're gonna have to answer that when we're off the golf cart. Oh yeah, please.
We live in a world of uncertainty in agriculture. We frequently are finding changes coming along Friday at 4 p.m., but we have great partners that we work with in the community, and we have a lot of good team members here that keep us moving forward with, working with the best that we can. I'm on a weekly call with the National Council of Ag Employers to keep abreast of all of the changes, and you have to stay on it weekly. And when you miss one, you got to talk to somebody. So it is a weekly update that you have to stay on top of to have any sense of what's going on in agriculture in the U.S. right now.
I don't envy it.
Now we're driving by what feel more like traditional rows of crops, but even still, there's a lot of technology that goes into it. You've got these logs. It seems like the crops are mostly suspended with irrigation tubes going along them, and these plants are in plastic pots?
Yes, this is our long cane propagation field. If any of your listeners have driven down River Road and seen the perfectly placed wooden posts that get a lot of stopping and pictures taken of, this is where we're growing raspberry and blackberry plants that we will ship to growers mostly in the eastern part of North America, Quebec, Ontario, North Carolina, and some here locally. But this is a raspberry and blackberry plant that we grow in a pot, and the plant is grown to full maturity, and we ship it to the grower ready to pick berries. And they will plant this pot in their system, pick the crop, and compost the plant, and we'll ship them another one.
Is that bamboo you're using for these ones?
Yeah, we use bamboo on the blackberries to trellis the canes. That way they stand up straight.
Which ones are the really tall ones that look about like 6 feet tall?
Blackberries, and that's what those plants that we're about to go in and look at fruit look like that this time last year. So we're going to see the final product, and here we are driving past our strawberry production.
Again, all elevated off the ground and with irrigation tubes. It's very high tech here.
These plants are all plants that you're growing to fruit so that you can monitor how they develop and how they taste, right? Like, these plants are not going to be for sale.
That's correct. These plants are, we'll call them our fruiting trials, but it's where we're also growing the fruit for sale in the local area. And we sell a substantial amount of fruit here in Western Mass, and all the way as far as east as Boston. Let's taste some fruit here.
Nice. I love tasting unregulated fruit that's in a trial state. What could go wrong?
You live on the edge.
I do.
Sounds like
So this is all undercover, or mostly undercover, right? So, or those certain areas it's open. Can you close them when necessary, or?
Yeah, this is a fairly high-tech version of a high tunnel system, and we can open and close the tunnels based on the conditions. So we spoke earlier about how we can adjust the climate. This is one of the tools that we can do that.
The highest high tunnel I've ever been in. We'll let John, the CEO, do the picking because I don't want to mess this up. Claire Morneau from CISA.
Rachel, can you tell us what varieties these are?
Yeah, okay. Strawberry Princess, go.
I think this is Albion.
Yes.
I'm calling our grower right now to have her come meet us, so we'll confirm. Hey, Erin.
John, the CEO, says it's Albion. He knows. Thank you.
Do you continue to grow out plants for varieties that are well established? Do you have varieties in here that are widely grown throughout the region? It's not only new varieties that you're testing to consider bringing to commercial sales, right?
Correct. This is a commercial planting of Albion. This variety is not even on patent any longer. It's been around 26 years. The varieties that we passed earlier are the first time we've grown them. One is called Florida Beauty. That's a new variety to us. And we have another trial variety that's being planted on Monday, actually. So we do trials, but a small portion. This is a commercial size fruiting operation, and within this we have different rows of trial varieties so we can look at taste, flavor, agronomic characteristics, and things like that.
Well, they taste delicious.
The ones at the tent taste even better because these are probably due to be picked tomorrow.
I need a little more sweetness on the vine.
That's why I'm not eating one.
You really?
High standards.
You still are a strawberry snob, a berry snob, Rachel.
Do you ever have accidental field cross-pollination here?
We're not breeding here, so there isn't any trouble with pollination. The bees can go anywhere they want.
But the bees, we've learned, Erin will probably tell you this, you can hear them in the raspberries and black raspberries. They are snobs and they prefer raspberries over strawberries any day. As soon as the raspberries started flowering and fruiting, they were like, see you, bye. Well, we were rolling out here in the hot rod. John was talking about automation and innovation, but the other piece is everything that we're doing differently and better is also better for our employees. It creates better environment for them to pick. It's a cleaner environment, and oftentimes working in that greenhouse, they're not bending down and stooping. They're able to work up at hand level, and it's a lot easier work. It's still hard work, but it's easier.
Look at these.
Feel free to pick anything you think is ripe, because they're going to get picked this afternoon.
They look.
Raspberries are huge.
They are huge.
These are ginormous.
Raspberries, red raspberries and black raspberries look like a cup when you pick them. That's how you know it's a raspberry rather than a blackberry, right?
That's correct.
That's the one berry knowledge that I know. Strawberry princess.
I'm standing back so I don't empty your entire row.
You're not too much of a berry snob to eat these, though, are you, Rachel?
No, I just had 5.
The plants we're standing in were grown in that propagation field we drove past earlier, and this is a long cane fruiting method.
And so it takes a year to get to this point?
That's correct. A standard in the soil planting of raspberries, we would ship a small plant to a grower. They would grow that in year 1. In year 2, they would start to produce fruit, and they probably keep that in their production for 2 or 3 years before they replant. In this system, we do all of the initial growing, so the plant shows up, gets to work. They're picking fruit in 85 days. They pick the fruit, toss the plant, and we put a new one in its place. So in a situation where you have a permanent growing system, moving the plants to that versus rotating through land on an annual basis.
Who are we meeting now, Rachel?
So this is Erin McDonald. She's our substrate manager and one of our star growers.
Hello, Erin. You're a substrate manager.
Yes.
Someday you'll be promoted to straight manager.
Maybe.
The substrate, we've talked a lot about this, how there's not a ton of soil that you're dealing with. So talk about some of the substrates that you're working with.
So right now we are working with a peat mix. The plants we're looking at right now are in peat with a little bit of perlite and some cocoa fiber mixed in. And then across the way we grow in a straight cocoa mix. So it's straight coconut husk. So.
That's cool.
Do things prefer different substrates at different stages and between different varieties, different plants?
Yeah, a lot of it depends upon your growing habits as a grower. So if you grow wet, then you want a substrate that drains really well. And if you're a drier grower, then you want something that holds on to moisture. So the way we grow is we're constantly refreshing the solution that's in our substrate with a new fertilizer solution. So we like well draining because it's continuous just being flushed, and there's a new fresh solution in there with everything those plants need.
Mm-hmm.
Is this an area where you're still kind of doing research and figuring out what makes the most sense, or is it like all pretty well established and it's just managing the system?
So this is really popular in the Netherlands, so a lot of our research and information comes from them, and then it's fine-tuning it for this environment and the varieties that we grow and how different our environment is versus theirs.
Mm-hmm.
But you never get the same year twice in
No.
agriculture, so every year is your first year, is what it feels
You
like.
have so much control here, though, so that it's probably, compared to a lot of the farmers we talk to, where they like whatever comes is what's coming, that you could at least manage it a lot more, right?
Theoretically.
No matter how you look at it, it's still 80% science and 20% faith.
I guess, right.
I'm curious about your background. How did you develop this specialty?
So I have a bachelor's degree in plant and soil sciences from UMass. I was in ornamental for a while. Some of your local listeners might know about 5 Acre Farm, where I grew ornamentals.
Yeah.
And then when Norse Farms bought that facility, they brought me on, and I've been learning trial by fire since then.
What's been the biggest difference between growing the needs of ornamentals and the needs of berries?
So the berries are new to me, actually, because normally I'm growing plants without berries on them. So that's been a lot of learning.
Usually like, flowers be damned, get out of here.
Yeah, usually we're picking them off and throwing them away and being like, stop doing that. That's not what I want. So this season, everything's different. A lot of it is nutritional. There's so many specialized fertilizers out there for what you're growing. So it's just finding the right one.
Talk about fertilizers. A lot of people, they don't like that notion of fertilizers. They don't like the idea of non-organic. But talk about the philosophy behind the berry growing, especially at this large scale.
Well, we need conventional fertilizers to produce the amount of fruit to support the population that we have. Organics just aren't there yet. I'm not saying they never will be. And they were there when our population was a lot smaller and the amount of food that you needed per acre was lower. So that's why we do rely on a lot of conventional fertilizer.
And we've seen on some of the signage that you are using pesticides, et cetera, and some places saying, watch out, this place isn't ready to be near here yet. Talk about how you're incorporating that.
So what you're seeing is the signage that's posted to keep you out of the crop during the REI.
What is REI?
Re-entry interval.
Okay.
So that's
not that store in there, the mall that sells like sporting gear.
No, it's when it's safe to enter the that particular zone again. They're usually pretty low. We don't like spraying chemicals. We do it because we need to do it to get the quality that we need. Nothing we use is off-label. Read your label. It's all according to the label on the law.
But we do use integrated pest management.
We do, yes.
You hear bees buzzing
so
through.
So much scouting.
Yeah.
It's we're not on spray schedules. We're on scout, and then when you see the first beginnings of a problem, decide on a threshold, and then put down your chemical when you need to.
And we also use beneficial insects here.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, and a lot of farms we talk to do use integrated pest management. But given that we're talking with the general counsel, this is where you get to answer the hard question in whatever way that you have been trained as a lawyer to answer. You are a huge farm amidst a lot of small farms. There was a lawsuit recently about a farm next door and having to do with pesticides. What's the current status of the lawsuit?
So we're actually not named in the lawsuit, but we are farming next to an outdoor cannabis grow operation. We are struggling to partner with those in the community, other farms, a vineyard nearby, MDAR, that we're talking to about how we can modify our current policies on cannabis in Massachusetts to better protect both the cannabis crop and all of their neighbors so that we can farm alongside each other as we have for forever. Ultimately, what we've been told whenever we have any of our regulatory inspectors come on at Norris, what I've heard from the very beginning when I was trailing alongside to when I was leading the conversation has been the same, and that's that we've always been the gold standard here in the Valley, and that we are always working so hard as a team to do everything right, to be good community members and neighbors, and that's still true.
All right, should we get back in the hot rod?
Sure.
Okay. Nice meeting you guys. Thanks for your time. Thanks,
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
All right, we're back in the hot rod at North Farms. Do you miss being in the field and doing farmy stuff instead of CEO stuff?
Do you miss cows?
Yes.
Yes.
He wants cows back.
I saw some really sad hot cows right down the street lying down like, oh my God, what are we in for? This heat dome!
Joke that I'm a recovering dairy farmer, but I do miss the cows a couple of times a year.
When?
And then mainly not on Sundays when it's raining or snowing.
Because they still need a milking?
Yes, that's correct. But yeah, I joke I used to work for a living, but now I do tend to run a spreadsheet and meetings more than I do a tractor.
Yeah.
This still seems like an awful lot of work.
Yes.
I try to escape every few hours for a little walk through the crop just to keep myself connected to it.
Yeah.
To our right is a traditional bare root strawberry nursery field.
So why are you doing that?
That's still our bread and butter.
Uh-huh.
So we still ship about 30 million plants a year of that type of a plant.
And the bare root means they're not the plugged style,
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
We plant them in the field, dig them up in the fall, and ship them as a crown and a root mass.
Which ones are the greenhouses that look all crazy colored at night? Are these ones over here that we see from?
Yeah, we have lights in here.
Again, that's the spaceship hangar.
And the CISA tours.
Oh,
I was getting nervous when there's a mass of people sitting in the parking lot.
Wait, are your coworkers here for like a tour or something?
Yep. Yeah, we do a lot of community tours.
So you're dual tasking today.
Yes.
And now we're crashing the CISA party.
Well, hello everyone from CISA.
Hi, CISA.
We got a golf cart. I don't know what you all get. That's the hot rod golf cart. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a 6-person golf cart.
Look like you walk around the world with the microphone.
What, Jennifer Core from CISA?
Like you just everywhere you go, you have the microphone.
Yes, I do. Everybody here works for CISA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then CISA goes out on tours in the farm. Yeah, that's fun. Stay connected.
They get a better tour than you did, though, because they have more time.
That's true. We have to go. We have a show to do.
I feel like we got a pretty good.
Yeah, we got an awesome tour, and we got a golf cart. So
should I stay?
Eat
or
it,
should I go back
suckers.
to the office?
Yeah.
You're gonna see more fun things.
Yeah.
You might get to see
get
the
to
lab. You get to see the science part, the sciencey science.
Oh yeah,
part.
you can stay for the rest of the tour clip.
Yeah, I'm just going to spend my whole day here at Norse Farms.
It's a big farm. You could spend more than one whole day here. You could spend an entire career from 14 and a half years old since 1997. Rachel, that's phenomenal to go from like literally selling berries on the side of the road to being general
Actually,
counsel.
it was Christmas trees first.
What keeps you connected?
Well, I'm from a farming family, and we didn't have a farm to farm anymore, so this became my new farming family, and we have a very family atmosphere here, and just keeping what we believe in going, feeding the world.
We're kind of coming towards the tail end of strawberry season. I think maybe it's got like another like 3-ish weeks. You're seasoned at this, and you have like science opinions. What's your favorite variety that you have here at Norse?
John.
It doesn't have to be ripe right now, but
CEO
like,
of Norse
to be one
Farms.
that you grow.
John Place.
I actually really like Albion, which is trouble because it's a variety we need to replace.
Because of climate? Or
it's a low yielding but very high quality fruit. So it's tough for growers to make money with that variety, but sales teams have no trouble selling that variety.
Yeah.
So there's the mix. But we'll be picking fruit here through October.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, so what else is coming to the berry tent?
The berry tent's not going to be open until October, but we'll have black raspberries and blueberries coming, and blackberries you saw were just starting to turn color. I'd say 2 weeks from now we'll have blackberries, so we'll have a full berry complement within 2 weeks, or maybe 10 days.
Strawberry Princess, what's your favorite berry?
So we don't have it this year, but Aaron, our substrate manager, promised me that we will bring back Malwina, and I love Malwina because it is so deep red and dark, and when you cut through the middle it's even darker, and it's my favorite to freeze, and I think it holds its flavor the best for smoothies in the middle of winter.
Nice.
With just a little bit of rum in them.
You got it from the mouth of the princess herself.
Another low yielding variety.
You know.
I'm in it for the flavor.
Well, I'm here for the spreadsheets and the
That's something that we've learned like from strawberry farmers around here, is that like some of the bigger yielding stuff doesn't have fruit that has as much flavor because they're so busy pushing out fruit. Like you find the plants that have like lower yields but like higher concentrate of flavor, and those are the better berries. It just is the weird trade-off.
You're seeing that in the grocery store. The premium berry container now exists. You'll see the commodity berry for $2 or $3 a container, and then you see a $7, $8 container of the premium berries that are starting to really move. I think that what we saw happen in blueberries over the last 10 years is coming for raspberries and strawberries for sure.
Well, thanks for giving us this great tour.
Yes.
Now Claire Morneau from CISA gets to go on the CISA tour and see the rest of the things that are going on. Thanks for driving us around in the hot rod and checking out this incredibly well-oiled machine that is Norse Farms.
You guys are a blast. We appreciate you coming here and spending the time.
Let me take you down.
Their facilities are so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It gives me confidence that when we live on Mars, we'll still be able to have strawberries.
Yep. And raspberries and blackberries.
How AI is being incorporated into what they're doing in
really
the processing
smart
facilities.
Ways, in the ways we want AI to be used.
Yes.
We accidentally bracketed this with like ways we don't want AI to be used and ways we do want AI to be used.
Yes, I do want AI to be used to make songs that I can make fun of. Vote no on the Montague Library.
Look, you're just like, yeah, it's not.
Anyway.
It's as compelling as those Christian rock songs.
Exactly. We heard about Christian rock songs, if you missed the beginning of the show, from The Daily Show's Jordan Klepper at Solid Sound, where he quizzed members of Wilco, some comedians, and Natalie Merchant if they could tell the difference between an AI Christian rock song and an actual Christian rock song, and they did poorly.
So it turns out that Natalie Merchant really likes the drop.
She does
when
like
it happens
the drop.
in music.
On the next Fabulous 413, we'll introduce you to Jeremy Siegel, the host of a new show called In Common, which looks at news stories from the whole Commonwealth, which you'll hear here over the weekend.
And we'll look at the Massachusetts no longer a Bay colony struggle with the issue of slavery through the case of Elizabeth Freeman for a Power of History.
Plus our weekly chat with U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern. I'm Monty Belmonte.
I'm Glee Smith. Email us with questions for him.